Hey everyone, Rule 303 here. I thought I'd do a quick video today on the differences between carbon steel and stainless steel, the advantages and the disadvantages of both, and which one might suit you. Now, this doesn't pretend to be a comprehensive video into the subject. This is just a taster for the everyday user of knives, cutlery and tools. There are plenty of people on YouTube out there that have got far more knowledge than me on this subject. This is just an introduction and my own personal observation from using both types of these steels. So the basic difference between carbon steel or tool steel and stainless steel is the clue being in the name. So carbon steels, tool steels have a higher carbon content than stainless steels do, classic stainless steels do, and both come in a variety of different types. So some will have more of a particular substance in them than another, and what this will give you is a specific steel that is going to be more or less suitable for the application which you want to use it for. So up until relatively recently, I was always a stainless steel man, and this was mainly down to kind of aesthetics, I guess. Really, it had never really crossed my mind that tool steel would, or carbon steel would be better than stainless steel. I was always of the school of thought, incorrectly, that stainless steel was where it was at, and really never kind of looked beyond stainless steel when looking for a knife blade, which was woefully naive on my part. So stainless steel, generally speaking, does not rust as severely and as much. It requires less care in terms of cleaning it after use, and it requires less maintenance. Now, by maintenance, I mean preventative maintenance, chiefly around rust. Now, you can agree or disagree with this, but I have found in my experience, and I think a lot of other people have also found, that stainless steel is far, far more impervious to rust than tool steel. Not completely, because it will rust over time to a point, although carbon steel will rust more. So looking at some of the knives that we've got here in front of us, there's a bit of a selection. So this knife here is my Paramilitary 2, a hard used knife. It's got countless nicks and marks on it. It's had a hard life, really. It's been used a great deal. It's not been particularly babied. It's certainly not a safe queen. And as you can see, there's barely, if any, rust or discoloration on the blade. There are some scuff marks and things like that. It's lost some of its original kind of satin sheen, but you know, there's very little evidence of any rust on that blade. By comparison to my Ladybug in K390. So K390 is a steel, carbon steel, which is going to show the classic traits of a carbon steel blade when it's used. Again, another hard little user. This thing is normally clipped onto my keys and used at least a dozen times a week, and that can be for anything from cutting boxes open to anything else, you know, just general EDC, daily use for a very small knife. For anybody that's interested in buying one of these Ladybugs, or the Man Bug, which is more or less the same with a little bit more belly on the blade, they are extremely good little users to stick on your keys, or, you know, just pop in your pocket. They really do present an awful lot of knife for your money. They're great. So as you can see, the appearance of these steels could not be any different. Over time, carbon steel will develop a patina. Now, this is an example of a carbon steel knife made out of the same material, K390, as the Ladybug I've just shown you, but this knife has only been used by myself for approximately 4 days. Okay, now already you can start to see in certain lights a slight patina just beginning to develop. Some patches are a little darker. There you go. If I hold it in that light, you can see a patina there. And this is in line with a lot of things, mainly what you're cutting, what you're using the knife to actually cut, and how you're taking care of the knife, because they do require a certain degree of maintenance to keep them looking okay. Now, if you're expecting your carbon steel knife to remain looking tip top in the way that stainless steel can, and it's going to really do your head in because you're kind of OCD around how your knives look, well, carbon steel may not be the best choice for you. However, as a carbon steel convert, I now get a great degree of satisfaction in patinaing my knives through honest use. I'm not a fan of forced patinaing knives, but I do enjoy watching a patina develop on a knife. It's evidence of good use, and I think for me, it's gone from being something that I once found rather ugly to something that really shows and indicates honest wear and tear and use of the knife. And of course, a patina on a knife blade, if looked after, will not present any issues whatsoever with the function of the knife. In actual fact, it will provide a degree of rust prevention in its own right, in the same way or a similar way to the bluing process, which is a kind of rust processor, that people use with certain tools, and most specifically guns. Very effective, or quite effective way of reducing corrosion. It inhibits corrosion, and that effectively is what a patina can also do. So that really is the major difference in terms of the aesthetics of the knife, in terms of the two steels. There's far more to it than that, but that is the main identifiable aesthetic. So, assuming you like your knives pristine, why would you even consider a carbon steel knife over a stainless steel knife? Well, the two reasons that I consider a carbon steel knife over a stainless steel knife are sharpness and durability. Carbon steel knives tend to be absolutely superb slicing tools. They retain an edge like no other stainless steel that I can think of. They are absolutely phenomenal cutters, and that is especially important with things like food preparation. You find a lot of the best chef's knives are carbon steel. When you want something that is gonna be a reliable cutting implement and cutting tool, particularly if you're in a situation where you may not have a lot of time dedicated to sharpening the thing. So I find that carbon steel knives work really well for me for the majority of my day-to-day practical uses. Now, you may want to consider the composition of the steel you're using, especially if you're using your steel in some kind of maritime pursuit. If you're next to salty water, if your knife is being used in that application in yachting to cut away line, or on some of the sort of shipboard activity, particularly if it's getting sprayed by the salty water, or even just in the environment of salt water can sometimes hamper carbon steel somewhat. This is why Spyderco, as you can see, these are all Spyderco knives here, have their salt ranges, which is specifically designed to be used more around maritime applications. So you may want to consider that first of all, in terms of whether or not carbon steel is going to be suitable for you, with that in mind. In terms of durability, carbon steel is where it's at. They are very, very tough knives. These knives that I've got here, the carbon steel knives, are all using a carbon steel called K390, which is kind of known as a bit of a steel connoisseur steel. I absolutely love K390. It does everything that I need it to do, and unlike some people, I actually find K390 really easy to sharpen. I don't know why that is. I just find that I can sharpen K390 with relative ease. The beauty of carbon steel is that once you've got a really sharp edge on your knife, just an occasional strop will keep it really, really keen. So just a little bit of preventative maintenance around the sharpening of the knife or stropping of the knife will keep it honed, and you'll find that you will not need to hone it very regularly using another sharpening system. Now, there is a degree of preventative maintenance, as I said, that carbon steels require over normal stainless steel or any kind of stainless steel. And really that involves them being cleaned after use. So if you're going to use your knife to do something like food prep, or cut a kill up when you're out hunting, or whatever it is, really, that carbon steel is going to, on some level or other, be reactive to whatever substances it's coming into contact with, whether that's onion juice or lemon juice or meat juice from beef or chicken or anything like that. It's gonna react to it. Now, by react, I don't mean it's suddenly going to crumble into rust in your hands in front of your eyes, but it's going to require a rinse off after it's been used if you want to make the most out of your steel. Yeah, some people, they'll kind of like help the patina along its way by not cleaning the knife for a while. But what you'll find is, I always find that I prefer a slow patina to form, just from honest use, really. And I always clean my carbon steel knives after I've used them, if I've got the opportunity to. And they will develop their patina nice and slowly, and it'll take place over a period of weeks and months. So this knife here, I've been carrying for around about a year, and as you can see, it's got an absolutely crazy patina on it. I love this patina on this little knife. It's when it first started happening, I was kind of like, what the hell, what's going on with that, and because being an idiot, I'd not really registered that it was carbon steel. I just bought it, for the size of the knife and the practicality of it. And really, that was what turned me on to carbon steel. It made me realise that actually there's so much more out there in terms of the offerings of the blade materials than just purely stainless steel. So that is the kind of patina that you might expect on a knife that has had a good bit of use. The blade on that knife is still fiercely sharp. It's very, very, very sharp. It's like a little scalpel. And like I said, the Ladybug and the Manbug knives offerings from Spyderco do present an awful lot of knife for your money if you're just looking for something unobtrusive to pop on your keys or stick in your pocket if you're going out camping or something like that. In some states, bear in mind that even though it is a sub 3-inch blade, not states, more countries, there, for instance the UK where I am, says that you need to have good reason to carry a locker with you. Some places have got issues with one-handed opening knives and things like that, so that's something to bear in mind with Spyderco's. So yeah, great knife to put in your pocket, which don't fall foul of the law and screw yourself up. So yeah, that really is a consideration. Just going back, sorry, I got sidetracked there into silly laws, but yeah, just looking at the maintenance of the blade, give it a rinse off and oil it. Give it an oiling. So a very, very light oiling for two reasons. Firstly, because you don't need loads and loads of oil. You need about the same that you would put on the outside of a finely blued gun. So it's just a coating. And the other thing, of course, you don't really want oil residue to be all over your clothes and gunking up everything else and pouring out the bottom of your knife when it's in your pocket. So that really is an important thing. If you do those two things, if you wash your knife after it's been used and give it a little bit of preventative maintenance via oiling, your carbon steel knife will develop a really great patina and it will last you a lifetime. As I said, the sharpness on carbon steel knives is phenomenal, really phenomenal, and they retain their edges superbly well, or at least the ones that I've used in K390 certainly do. So there is that. The upsides of stainless steels is that they're lower maintenance. They tend to hold up pretty well in their own right. They're good steels. They don't rust as much by far. So, I mean, some people sort of say, stainless steels don't rust. Well, stainless steels do rust to a point, but not really a point of any consequence. So, that is a factor. And if you're going to be using that knife in, like I said, in some maritime applications, or it's going to be constantly wet, or you know, it's going to be in humid environments, then stainless may well be an option for you to consider more so. The other knife that I've got here, or two knives that I've got here, really this little boy here is another example of a stainless steel knife. Again, hard user, held up extremely well. There's a couple of very minor scratches on it. And this knife actually does come up really quite sharp, but nowhere near as sharp as the carbon steel knives that you can see. The other option that I've put down for you to kind of consider is a coated blade. So this is actually a stainless steel, but it is a coated blade. So you can get carbon steel blades that are coated, and that is another way to go with them, although it won't completely render them rust free by any stretch of the imagination, but it will help somewhat. So that is another option that you can go for. Now, I must be a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a sadist, because I actually really enjoy watching steel coatings, black steel coatings particularly, slowly wear away. I find that really satisfying. All of my knives are users. I've never owned a safe queen knife at all, really. I've owned some really high-end semi-custom knives, Rocksteads and things like that. Paid, you know, comparatively large amounts of money, and I've always used them because I kind of think knives should be used. No criticism on anybody that has knives that they don't use, but me personally, I like to use my knives. So really, that's the introduction to carbon steel versus stainless steel. And to answer a question that I've posted in the title of the video, which one's better? Well, I guess that depends very much on what you're using it for, what you need it for, and what you're looking for out of your knife. If you'd asked me that question 3 years ago, I would have said stainless steel's better, but that would have been based completely on ignorance and my own bias of having no experience of using carbon steel. Having since used carbon steel quite a lot, I'm inclined to say that I prefer carbon steel knives. And the reason is because if you're looking for a knife that is not pocket jewelry, that's not an ornament, that's not a status symbol or something that you kind of flashing around, then and you're more interested in the capacity of the tool to do a job. If you're looking for a workhorse, if you're looking for something that is good at what it's intended to do, then I think carbon steel edges it over the stainless steels all day long. And actually, if you're talking to knife aficionados, you're talking to people that are really into steels, really into their steels and really into their practical use knives, you will probably find that a finely patinaed knife like the little ladybug in the middle will get quite a lot of appreciation. You know, people who know about steels really do like to see hard use patinaed tool steel knives. It gives them a buzz, and it gives me a buzz. So that is the dope on this, really. I think carbon steel knives, for where I'm at right now in terms of my use of knives and my collecting of knives, I am an advocate and a convert to carbon steel blades, notwithstanding the preventative maintenance that is needed to keep them cutting well and to inhibit rust. Like I said, patina's okay, rust not so much. Really hope you found this video useful. If you want to comment below, I'd appreciate it. Please subscribe and drop me a line if there's anything more that I can help you with. Cheers.